Hi, my name is Jessica Ledesma, and today I'm going to be discussing the history and study of tarot. So, how many of you have known or heard of tarot or tarot readings before? I'm sure we've all heard about psychics and fortune tellers and spirits, especially with Halloween right around the corner. I'm sure there's a lot of people who are a little bit curious about tarot readings. But how many of you actually know the history of tarot, where it stems from, the symbolism of it, and how it's translated into today's modern society? So today I'm going to talk and discuss about tarot. I've been practicing tarot for over 10 years. I currently own a small business as a tarot psychic reader, and I was also a tarot reader for psychic networks like California Psychics and Psychic Oz for some time. I currently facilitate a beginner intermediate course through Zen Ed Academy, where I began taking online courses this past year with the hopes of becoming fully certified. So, tarot's often been negatively stereotyped by various cultures and religions and backgrounds. And I think that's partly just because of the lack of knowledge on the topic. So I'd like to inform my audience today not only about the history of tarot, the symbolism of it, but I'd also like to discuss some of the misconceptions that many have had over the ages. So let's start where it all began, the origin. So there are two specific origins I'd actually like to discuss today, one being with China and the other from Egypt. So one of tarot's origins is said to come from China, according to Wu Mingren, who wrote an online article titled "Before They Were Divination Tools, Tarot Cards Were Playing Cards." Now, he cites that there were drawings and pictures that were printed on paper that were found in Turpan in China around 1400 AD. And another relation to China is in the I Ching, or Yi Jing is how it's pronounced, that also shows similarities. So according to Richard Brooks, who wrote an article titled "What is the Yi Ching?", he talks about how it's a book of change and how it basically gave suggestions and advice on what one might do during specific situations. The I Ching also follows the hero's journey. And the hero's journey is what tarot actually mimics, the fool's journey, the hero's journey. So China also used divination sticks that also coincided with I Ching. So they were really into divinatory kind of esoteric, metaphysical topics as well. And according to David A. Karen, who's actually one of my teachers through Zen Ed Academy, he also talks about this in one of his Facebook videos on one of the courses, Module 1, Preparing for the Journey of Tarot Reading. So another origin of tarot begins in Egypt. Now, gypsies apparently traveled across Europe from India using these divination cards. And they claimed that these divination cards came from a place called Little Egypt, just to kind of give off an air of mystery. According to Karen, these cards are said to have derived from the book of Thoth or Thoth, which is in an ancient Egyptian textbook. Now, the cards eventually made their way through Europe, eventually getting to France. So in France, the cards were then changed from the tarot symbols of swords, cups, coins, and rods to the modern day playing cards that we use today, which are of clubs, hearts, diamonds, and spades. Karen also mentions about Napoleon Bonaparte's Empress Josephine, who used a very famous cartomancer named Mademoiselle Marianne Lenormand. Now, she ultimately changed the deck into what today's deck is used. That's called the Rider-Waite-Smith deck. And she added reversals and specific symbolism to follow the hero's journey. So there's several theories of the exact origin of tarot. However, there seems to be a general consensus that today's modern tarot probably stemmed from Europe, that being France. Now, what are these specific images? How do they follow the hero's journey that I'm talking about? So there's particular symbolism that is used. And while I won't be going over every single card and its symbolism, I will discuss three cards of the major arcana and how they relate directly to the hero's journey. The first card I'm going to discuss is the Fool. Now, the Fool is numbered 0. Basically, he is this guy who is ignorant, in bliss, naive, innocent, about to walk off a cliff. And that's how he embarks on his journey. So, this cliff symbolizes the great, vast unknown when you first embark on a journey. So, he doesn't really know where he's going, it's an abyss of an unknown. And this white dog in here actually symbolizes innocence and purity because this is supposed to be the child of the hero's journey. So there's a lot of innocence, a lot of purity, a lot of ignorance too, but that's how usually people start or embark on a journey. They don't really know exactly where they're going or where it's going to take them. Now, the next card I'm going to discuss is the Emperor. In the hero's journey, this is considered the father archetype. So, father archetype is supposed to teach you how to teach the child how to live in the real world. So, he's really solid, really grounded. If you can see, he's on a concrete throne. That means he's immovable, really solid. And the color red here represents masculinity. The ram's heads that we see on his throne represent Ares or the god of war, Greek mythology. And the number 4 here indicates that he's a really solid stand-up dude. He's just pretty solid, pretty grounded. So the next card I'm going to show and discuss is the Empress. Now she's number 3. The number 3 here represents coming together, for creativity or passion. Now, she is the mother archetype. So, being the mother archetype in the hero's journey means she's nurturing, kind, caring. In this picture, in this depiction, she's actually wearing a white dress with pomegranate flowers or pomegranate fruit on it, which symbolizes fertility. She's also supposed to be pregnant. So, definitely the mother card. And she also has the female symbol here to also further represent femininity and creation and nurturing. So, the Fool, the Emperor, and the Empress are all great examples of how tarot follows symbolically the hero's journey. And now I want to discuss some common misconceptions that have led some viewers of tarot or some people to stereotype tarot. And some of the misconceptions include that tarot is evil. Also, the devil card, what that exactly means, and that tarot predicts the future. So, first, I'm going to actually go over the devil card. The devil card here is actually not symbolic of Satan, Lucifer. Actually, he takes on the representation of Baphomet. I've also gotten that from Karen as well. Baphomet is actually from the Knights Templar and was also used in Satanism as well, but it's not supposed to symbolize like the Christian or Catholic Lucifer, Satan, that devil that we've heard of through those religions. In fact, it really talks about lusting over materialistic possessions or addiction or being tied to unhealthy relationships, toxic relationships. So this actually has a lot more to do with toxicity and how like the chains here symbolize how we're held bound to a toxic relationship or maybe even held or down onto an addiction of some sort, which could be a gambling addiction, shopping too much, um, maybe even um, maybe even a workaholic, working too much. I think you get the idea there. So this actually has a lot more to do with just being tied down to unhealthy habits. The next misconception is that tarot is evil. So tarot can't hurt anybody. It's not harmful in any kind of way. And although, I mean, honestly, tarot is really just there to guide people, similar to the I Ching, to guide people through difficult situations and choices. And the last misconception I'm going to discuss is that tarot predicts the future. So tarot doesn't actually predict the future. The future is not really predictable because people constantly change their decisions and choices in life. And so although tarot can help you figure out your way through a situation, it can also maybe give you guidance as to how a situation will ultimately play out. That doesn't mean the future is set in stone and that it's predicted. So while tarot is seen as taboo to most, its symbolism is not evil, and it has been used for thousands of years to guide, well, hundreds of years to guide many through difficult situations and choices in life. So this concludes my speech about the history and study of tarot. Now, I think you should have a really good understanding of tarot's history, its symbolism, and also the common misconceptions that have led to it being taboo or maybe stereotypes. I hope instead of thinking of it negatively or anything like that, maybe this Halloween you'll go out there and get yourself a tarot reading yourself so that way you can actually see how the rich symbolism has been passed on through thousands of years to help guide you through your own hero's journey. Thank you.